and I'm the Program Director for the two PhD programs that I'll be discussing today, Human Development and Organizational Development and Change in Fielding School of Leadership Studies. I'm really delighted that you've been able to join with us today. As I've mentioned earlier, please use the chat to add any of your questions or comments as we go through our presentation today. During our presentation, we will talk about some of the fielding graduates, about our flexible curriculum and optional concentrations. We also will discuss a little bit about what it means to have a self-directed program and a very supportive community. We are, of course, a very rigorous doctoral program, and I will also be introducing you to our global learning network. So let's begin.
Thank you.
First of all, in the chat, one of the things that we really like to do is to introduce each other. I'm not a talking head, but rather I'm one of the many facilitators of creating a learning environment. And so learning environments mean that we're interacting with each other and learning together. So I invite you all to add into the chat your first name, where you live, what you do briefly, and why a PhD. You don't have to answer all of these, but it quite often is helpful to just add this. As we go through the presentation, any questions that you have, please just put them in the chat as well. The picture in front of you is at one of our new student orientations. And in this picture, you have faculty members, you have alumni, and you have new students. Part of what we do at the very beginning in our one required in-person session is have the opportunity to get to know each other, because you'll be part of a learning environment, and this learning environment has a lot of interaction among its members. So, first of all, Fielding Graduate University is a not-for-profit organization. This means that we are here for you, that your tuition dollars are going to support your education. We have also been fully accredited since 1982. This is really important for any graduate student. You need to be sure that your degree is from a fully accredited university. You're going to get a copy of these slides, so when you get the copy, you can see the URLs here for our accrediting body, WASC, Western Association of Senior Colleges and Universities. Today we're going to talk about the School of Leadership Studies. This was created a year ago. It was created by the integration of two previous schools at Fielding, the School of Educational Leadership and Change and the School of Human and Organizational Development. What we've done by creating a new school is to increase flexibility and options for you as a student. As you see, we have 4 doctorates in our School of Leadership Studies, and we have a variety of master's degrees and certificates. Whenever you look at a graduate school, one of the very best ways of evaluating the school is by getting to know the alumni. Who are the alumni? What are they doing? How are they fulfilling their dreams as PhDs? In 1981, right as we were about to become accredited as a very new university, we wrote these words. The Board of Trustees wrote these words. They were true in 1981, they're true today. Fielding's graduates are intelligent, competent, ethical, and socially concerned professional men and women. This is a mantra that I still hold to. This is what's kept me at Fielding. Here are just a few of the occupations that and professions that our graduates are working in. We have organization development consultants, we have researchers, we have many of our graduates end up being professors. Several are in healthcare, some are working internationally as expats or as from whatever country they're from. Then we have nonprofit people, we have executive directors, we have founders of nonprofits. Of course, we have entrepreneurs and researchers and consultants. Some of our students and our alumni are from law enforcement, some are from the military, some are from technology. They are researchers, they are advocates for social justice, human resource people. We have a very multidisciplinary program, and so the members of our learning community are coming to us from a wide variety of professions and occupations. The faculty similarly are here because they're very supportive of adult education that is multidisciplinary and a scholar practitioner. You don't come to Fielding because you want a faculty member who will tell you what to do. You come to Fielding because you want a faculty member who will support you and your interests and help you become a real expert in an area that's important to you. You don't walk in the footsteps of the professors, the faculty members are walking beside you. We are your guides, we're your navigators, we're your colleagues. You will always have a faculty mentor. You'll select your own faculty mentor from among our faculty. You'll also select your own dissertation topic. You don't have to say at the beginning when you apply that this is what you need to study. Rather, you're going to come into the program eager to learn, and you'll be able to define your own dissertation topic within the first year or two of the program. There are also quite a few optional concentrations, and these optional concentrations give you the breadth as well as the depths of specialization if you choose to have a concentration. Now, one of the interesting things for me when I first came to Fielding is that it has always been competency-based. Yes, you do in fact get grades. You can get a letter grade or you can have a credit, no credit grade. But in addition, every single thing that you do at Fielding will also be designed to be supporting doctoral competencies as scholar practitioners. That means that whenever you have a course, whenever you hand in at the end of the course, and we call our courses knowledge areas. So whenever you complete a knowledge area, your faculty assessor will assess not only the competence, not only the final grade for the course, either an A or a B or credit, no credit, whichever you select, letter grade or credit, no credit, but your faculty assessor will also give you her or his assessment of the development of your competencies. Are you highly competent, or is this an area that you are still developing? And I've listed here the areas of competency, of doctoral competency, that we take very seriously. So it's everything from knowledge of the relevant scholarly literature to how well have you used faculty feedback? How strong is your own voice? How much have you integrated the theory with practice? We're scholar practitioner. And of course, the scholarly writing, diversity. Have you looked at a variety of perspectives? We don't promote a single one-size-fits-all perspective, but we really encourage alternate perspectives, alternate points of view. Now, something that for me has been extremely exciting in the past year is that we have now within the School of Leadership Studies a common doctoral framework. This allows you to customize your degree in a way that you could not do before. You will have access to interchangeable electives across the doctorate degree. So, for example, you may be working towards becoming a PhD in human development, but you will be able to take your electives from the School of Leadership Studies other doctoral programs, including Organization Development and Change, Infant and Early Childhood Education, or Leadership for Change. This gives you access to more electives. It also gives you access to more faculty. You also have the option of selecting from 11 university-wide concentrations, and we'll discuss the concentrations in a few minutes. Finally, by including this common doctoral framework, you will have access to more faculty and actually more students and alumni because you may be involved in courses with them. So, first of all, we'll talk about the 2 degrees. The PhD in Human Development. This is for those of you who are really interested in how people develop as individuals, how you look at adult learning theory, you look at psychology, you look at personality development, and you're looking at how adults within themselves grow and learn and are very actively engaged. So some of the research that we have with human development are looking at something such as young children, how do young children grow into self-confident adults? You may look at resiliency in employees. You may look at the role of exercise and neurogenesis in older adults. There's a wide variety of research and topics available for those of you with a PhD in human development. We also have a common doctoral framework. The common doctoral framework for human development starts off in year 1 with about 26 credits, in which you have a multidisciplinary foundation. Then you go into your areas of specialization, which include advanced electives. General electives, remember, that can come from across any of our doctoral programs, and optional concentrations. We also have the dissertation process, and this includes a doctoral seminar. You're not just on your own throughout all of this. In addition to having a faculty mentor, by the time you're at the dissertation stage, you'll have a dissertation committee of 3 faculty members, a chair and 2 other members. And you'll also be enrolled in a dissertation seminar. This is for people who are starting their dissertations to give support to each other, as well as develop your dissertation proposal as part of a group with 1 or 2 other faculty members. After graduation, of course, you will then join Fielding's Global Alumni Network. This is a very vibrant network of alumni throughout the world. Some of them are still very active within the program. They may meet with you locally if you're in a geographic cluster. They certainly come to many of our optional sessions and offer workshops, and are part of a very scholar practitioner network. Now, the other degree that we have is a PhD in Organizational Development and Change. Now, this degree is very multidisciplinary, and it still looks at the individual, but it looks at the individual within the context of organizations, within the context of communities, within the context of corporations or small mental health facilities, or healthcare institutions. So this degree is one that has both the individual aspect, but also organizational, the individual with others. It's very multidisciplinary. Among our faculty, we have ethnographers, we have sociologists, we have people who are management scholars, OD professionals. So it's a very multidisciplinary degree. Now, it has the very same common doctoral framework degree, a total of 84 credits, and both of our doctoral degrees support completion in about 3.5 years. Some people will take less time, some people will take longer. You'll be creating your own path to becoming a PhD. Very same outline, multidisciplinary foundation, then advanced specialization, and then the dissertation and becoming a part of the global alumni network. Now, all of this takes place within a context of 3 terms per year. We have January through April, May through August, September through December. In between each term, we have an interterm break. And this is time for you to catch your breath, to begin preparing for your next term. Academic progress is 18 credits per year. And that equates to, normally the norm is about 2 courses per term. You can also have 1 term where you take fewer courses. It's a variable maximum. As Shanna will explain later, you pay tuition, an annual tuition. And so if you wanted to and were able to take more credits per term, you'd be able to do that. And then, of course, there will be some terms. Life intervenes. You're going to have a very busy term with your profession or your personal life. And so you might want to only take 1 course that term. So there's a lot of variation. When you're at the orientation session at the very beginning of your program, these are things we talk about so that you'll be aware of your options. You'll put together a learning plan that will say, well, this is how I think I can complete my degree, and you'll lay it out term by term. But life intervenes, and so there'll be adjustments as you go along. But that learning plan that comes at the very beginning of your studies is the way that you and your faculty mentor, you discuss how it is that you expect to become a PhD. Some of you will be eligible for transfer credit. Transfer credit is for graduate work that you've completed within the past 5 years. I'm available to speak with you about some of the options for this. It has to be relevant, of course, to your course of study, and it needs to be from an accredited educational institution. It can be from a master's degree or doctorate relevant coursework. Now, this is something that once you apply and become accepted, then we formalize the transfer credit. But if you're interested in understanding your options, I'd be glad to discuss this with you. Some of you may have graduate work that you completed earlier than 5 years ago. And again, I'd be glad to discuss some of the options that are available for you. Don't worry if you have never had any graduate work. As long as you have an accredited bachelor's degree, then you can certainly apply. So we have a wide range of students within each cohort, starting cohort. We have some students with a lot of graduate work and other students with no graduate work, and we're here to support you regardless of your background. Something else I think that's very important to know is that we have 1 term per 12-month period where you can take a leave of absence. This means that when you're taking a leave of absence, you don't pay tuition that term. You still have access to the library, you still have your fielding email, and students take leaves of absence for a variety of reasons. Life may intervene. You may move, you may change your profession, you may have all sorts of other things going on in your personal or family life, and such that you can't really devote the time that you would like to devote to your studies. So this is why we have this option of 1 term per 12-month period of a leave of absence. You don't pay tuition, so this makes it feasible for times when you want to continue in the program but really can't devote time to your studies. Now, I'd like to go over some of our doctoral concentrations. These are our current concentrations. Stay tuned because as the need develops, as the interest develops, we also may be changing, adding new concentrations. These are the ones we have right now. First of all, doctoral concentrations are optional. You do not need to have a doctoral concentration, but they're optional for those of you who want to go deeper into an area, and those of you that who want to become part of a community of students and sometimes alum and faculty who are really devoted to a particular area of scholar practitioner studies and action. Inclusive leadership for social justice. This really is one of our activist concentrations. Folks who are part of this concentration are very actively engaged in bringing about social change, bringing about empowerment in the workplace, bringing about sustainability in corporations, bringing about community change. These are folks whose commitment is very strongly towards the changing, improving the world that we live in. We also have regular face-to-face events that are optional that people in concentrations may participate in. And one of the inclusive leadership concentrations, face-to-face sessions, is at Highlander, which is an amazing place that much of the civil rights movement had its roots there. Another is leadership for social and ecological sustainability. This is about organizations and people where we're looking at sustainability. And this may be sustainability within an organization with flexibility, with taking care of its employees, both economic as well as emotional health, and of course the ecological sustainability. This group also has at least one face-to-face session a year. They're having one in a few weeks in a retreat center. So these are optional, but these are opportunities for people committed to social and ecological justice in both theory and practice to meet and come together. Media, technology, and innovation. This is a concentration that is closely aligned, actually, with social and ecological, the social and ecological sustainability leadership. And in fact, many people are part of both. This is about the role that today's media and today's technologies have in social, organizational, community-based change. And this is certainly one of the most current hot topics that we can have. Particularly, we look at disruptive innovation, where Twitter, for example, is a hugely disruptive innovation. And Facebook, we look at social media, we look at social issues, we look at ethical issues, we look at political. It's a wide variety of areas that this concentration looks at. Organization development. This is about creativity, organization design, group dynamics, team learning, and again, there are close alignments with some of our other concentrations. This is one, though, that if you're really focused on the organization itself, whether it's a small organization or whether it's a multinational corporation, this is where you, as a practitioner, you may get involved in some of our face-to-face events that we have, where you may spend 3 or 4 days in a practicum where you're working within an organization with a group of other faculty and students to bring about positive change. Creativity, creative longevity, and wisdom. This is about people who are really concerned about aging as an opportunity for people to thrive. And this concentration looks at both the social and economic issues with aging populations, but it also looks at opportunity and creativity. Evidence-based coaching, we're one of the few doctoral programs in North America where evidence-based coaching can be a concentration, and you'd be taking some of the same courses that our certificate program in evidence-based coaching has. Somatics, phenomenology, and communications leadership. This is about mindfulness. This is about work-life balance. This is about looking at transformative phenomenology, where you're looking deep within individuals and helping people to live richer, fuller, more healthful lives. And again, we have various retreats that are concerned with somatics, phenomenology, and communications. Now, we have other shared concentrations. These have their roots in some of our other doctoral programs. At the very beginning, many people say, well, I want to take all of them. Well, that's kind of difficult. You can know about all of them. You can take workshops with all of them, but they each have specific courses. So some people take 2 concentrations, but by the time you're ready to declare concentration, that's usually in your 2nd year, you probably will say, well, they're all fascinating, but this is the one that I'm going to concentrate in. Occasionally, it may be these are the 2. But we also are very committed to having you graduate, to having you become a PhD. And so we're on your side to move through the program in 3.5 years to become a PhD. If you wanted all the concentrations, it would take a lot longer than that. One of the clearly distinguishing aspects of studying at Fielding is our learning community. I've mentioned before, you'll have a faculty mentor whom you will select. You'll also have a graduate program advisor who's available to support you when you're deciding about a particular course, or you want to take a leave, you're not sure what to do. They're the ones that can put you in touch with the people you need to be in touch with, and also really support you and advise you. We have librarians. We have an amazing online library with thousands and millions, actually, of journal articles and thousands of journals and electronic books. But we also have great online librarians that are available to you via Zoom, just as we're doing right now. Also available to you via chat, and they've also created lots of recordings for you to learn how to access the material. An amazing new writing center that has not only videos, but also has writing tutors available to you. The faculty, staff, administrators are accessible. We also have local geographic clusters and communities of interest. This is an area that we are growing. The clusters are spread across North America, and then we also have an Asian cluster, and we have a European cluster. Students and alumni colleagues they're part of your learning. And finally, the one at the very top, the cohort and small group options. At the orientation session, you'll be part of a large cohort. Many of you will stay in contact throughout your doctoral studies. You also may find that, okay, you develop a good partnership with another colleague, another student colleague at Fielding, or you may have a small group that stays together. We encourage you to work in groups and supportive groups throughout your studies. Some of you may work totally alone. That's okay too. But most of you will find that working in a group has its advantages, and you have lots of opportunities to form and to be part of different groups. Now, we also have in-person and online and blended learning opportunities. In person are things like national sessions, and the picture here is of graduation, one of our graduations. That's me with my husband behind me, and one of our graduates who's actually from Shanghai, and she did all of her research actually in Shanghai. We only have one required in-person residency, and that's the initial orientation. But for those of you who like to meet face-to-face with faculty members and with students and alumni, there's a wide variety of other sessions that are available to you. Many of them are local, regional research sessions, national sessions once a year in Santa Barbara in January, where all of the faculty are there. And then we also have one coming up in Tucson, Arizona in July this year. We also have many online groups, online interactive online, and some are blended where there will be both an in-person component, but you also have the option of joining in via Zoom the way that we're meeting right now. Of course, something that we're holding on to that's really important to all of us is to continue to have individually designed specialized courses. What this means is that you see our curriculum, but sometimes you and another group of students, or you alone, you want to have a special course where you might want to meet in person as a small group with the faculty, and then carry on and study together at a distance. There's a lot of room for self-organization, for flexibility and creativity, and our faculty are highly supportive of these individualized options. Speaking of our faculty, we have amazing scholar practitioners who are our faculty. These are just 4 of our faculty members. Tojo Thatchin Carey is an OD professional. He also is the author of quite a few different books on appreciative organizations, appreciative intelligence. Valerie Bentz is one of our research gurus in areas such as phenomenology. She is an amazing philosopher and an incredible author. And she also, this particular book, and all of our faculty have more recent books. All 4 of these have since published, continued to publish. But Valerie's book, Flesh and Mind, is interesting. It's a fictional mystery, but it involves philosophers. And she has this deep knowledge of philosophers, so she introduces them to you and who they are and what they represent through this mystery novel. Jean-Pierre Isput's down with the Mona Lisa myth. He is our most prolific author. He's also National Geographic's most prolific author. He's a media guru. He's a documentary and award-winning documentary filmmaker. He also, in fact, he's off to France in another week on creating another documentary, France and Italy. His doctorate is in literature. He's an art historian, a media guru, and he's one of our most successful publishers, authors. So he also teaches scholarly writing and scholar practitioner writing and writing for professionals. He's recently, a whole National Geographic issue was authored by him. Annabelle Nelson, who lives in Arizona and spends quite a bit of time also in Colorado, she is someone who's one of our psychology, with a psychology background. And this particular book is on archetypal imagery and looking at the spiritual. So you see, as you're looking at these different authors, what a wide variety of faculty members you have to select from. And just for those of you who are interested in starting this year, we are right now in the midst of a faculty search. We're searching for 3 full-time faculty and 1 part-time additional research faculty. And if you go on the website and look under employment, you'll be able to see the advertisement that we have out. We're currently selecting from over 100 applicants to select the finalists. I haven't met them yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And they will be starting later this year. Now, I've mentioned the importance of alumni. And what do people actually accomplish with their PhD studies? And one of the ways that you can see what our alumni are doing is by taking a look at our Fielding monographs. These are published by Fielding. They are available to you through Amazon, through iTunes. If you Google Fielding monographs, you'll be able to see several of these and actually access them if you would like. Several of these books that are made up of chapters that are written by primarily by our alumni. So Jean-Pierre Isbitz, our documentary media author, is the overall editor of this series. I'm only going to show you a couple of the books right now. The first monograph was published about 3 years ago, Social Change in the Modern Workplace. Each of these authors, these are all alumni from our doctoral programs, and the titles of their chapters are primarily the titles of their dissertations. Similarly, we have quite a few students in healthcare. So these are also our alumni. These are articles written by our alumni, and they're based on their dissertations. Sustainability, here again, primarily are, actually these are all our alumni. Some of the more recent monographs have co-authors with students and faculty, but this again, as you see, it's edited by 2 faculty and alum and 1 alum, and these are some of the areas in which our alumni are actively engaged, as well as, of course, these are titles of their dissertations. Speaking of which, these are some of the recent dissertations in the past year, and you'll be able to look at these when you see the video, when you get a copy of the PowerPoint. But this again shows you our dissertations everywhere from fire chiefs to those of you wearing Fitbits or other kinds of wearables, about the wellness wearables, to Western expats, millennials, racial identity, burnout during planned organizational change. These are just some of examples of the wide variety of areas that you'd be studying. You would be creating your own interests, and that's why we're able to support quality research in a wide variety of areas. How do we know that they're quality research? Well, one of the things that you can do is you can read these articles from the monographs. As a fielding student, you would be part of a global network. You would be primarily studying from your own home, continuing to work in your own profession, but as part of your studies, you would be working with, studying with, learning with students and faculty from around the world. We're ubiquitous in that we are interacting on a daily basis. As faculty members, we're interacting on a daily basis with others around the world. Some of our faculty travel quite a bit. So we, at any one time, we may have faculty in Europe, in Asia, and South America, in Africa. Our faculty travel. But they're able to stay engaged as faculty the same way we are right now. I happen to be traveling right now, and I'm still engaged with fielding with my students and with you. There are also options for field trips. So sometimes we have hands-on experiential learning. When we meet in Tucson, Arizona this summer, this is one of our optional national sessions. Part of what there'll be a field trip one day to one of the Native American communities there. We also have global intensives. We have one coming up in Amsterdam in a couple of weeks. Two of our faculty members will be there, and we'll have quite a few European students and alumni that will be coming. We've met in many different areas of the world. These are occasional in-person sessions, again, totally optional, but give you the opportunity if you want to meet face-to-face in different locations. This is where we are located in North America. And this is, you'll see where our populations congregate. But as I mentioned, we also meet internationally. I happen to live in Victoria in British Columbia in Western Canada. And this is a group of students meeting in my condo in Victoria. If you could see through the window, you would be able to see Washington State, which is about 20 miles away across the ocean. And in the room here, there are alumni and students literally from throughout North America that came and joined in for a weekend of studying, and in this case, it was studying on organizational change. This is a picture of our Asian cluster. A couple of these people have already graduated. The folks in this cluster are from Hong Kong, from Shanghai, from Korea, and from Japan. The gentleman in the yellow shirt is actually one of the alumni who was engaged in consulting in Shanghai. So he, of course, came over to the meeting as well. This is a picture of the Malmö Jam, Malmö in Sweden. And this is where we spent a week working with a very innovative organization in Malmö, Media Evolution. And we had students, we had faculty there.
Okay, well, let's talk about the admissions process. Now, some of you have already applied and are completed applicants, but some of you are, still at the inquiry stage and looking at our programs. So let's go over what we are in currently. Now, we do require a bachelor's in order to apply for our programs. You can have a bachelor's plus a master's, or any, PhD coursework as well. Right now we are in technically the summer term application process, but that technically ended yesterday. That program starts in May. That being said, there is a little wiggle room for the application, so if you're really pressed to start in May, we can make that happen, and let's talk shortly after the webinar. For those of you that are looking at fall, we will be starting that application process. The deadline will be sometime in early July. And so what is required is the online application. You will actually upload some documents right into the application itself. There's generally a $75 application fee, but I've already gone in and added the waiver to all of your accounts. So for those of you who have applied, you know that I did that before you applied. For those that are thinking of applying, it's there for you. So if you do decide to start an application and submit, it will be free of charge. We do require a current resume, a statement of purpose, which is a one-page paper, a reflective essay is 1 to 2 pages, and then a writing sample that is something that can be something that you've previously written, 5 to 10 pages. We can talk a little more detail about what that is. And all of these writing prompts you'll upload into the application, and I will send you some guidelines that will help as you work on that process. We also require official transcripts for your most recent university education. If you're seeking transfer credits, include any of the official transcripts for the credits you'd be seeking for programs within the last 5 years or coursework. And Dorothy, you can move to the next page. So the tuition for the program is, we have 3 terms a year, as Dorothy mentioned. So it's $90.60 a term, $9,060 a term, or $27,180 a year. Once you reach the dissertation stage, you are reduced. Your tuition is reduced 30%. That usually happens in year 2 to 2.5. We have a number of financial aid options to choose from. We have federal loans. We have Grad Plus loans that we offer. We do offer some scholarship opportunities, and you can take a look at our financial aid page to see what those current opportunities are, and I'll also send you a link of that information. And transfer credits, as Dorothy mentioned, she's happy to discuss transfer credits that you'd be seeking. The coursework does have to be within 5 years, and from a master's or a PhD level work that's relevant to something within our program. So if you have a syllabi or something that reflects the coursework that you completed, it's very helpful for Dorothy to review that with you in advance. And of course, I will send after this presentation a copy of this PowerPoint, as well as some additional links to the program and the application and Dorothy's office hours. And I encourage you to take advantage of that and reach out to her with any internal questions. She has made herself available online and is such a great resource for additional support if you wanted to be connected to a faculty or get more information about a cluster group. So, either myself or Dorothy make ourselves available for you at any time. And Dorothy, I see that we have a couple chat questions coming up. I don't know if you want to address those.
Sure.
They're thank yous.
Yeah. There are a couple of a couple of the questions. I think all of these questions are really good, and part of what I'll be able to what I'll be doing when I email you, and it'll be either later today or tomorrow. But I'll try to answer generally these questions, but many of them I can also speak with you one-on-one. When you're looking at transfer credit, if you have completed graduate work in the past 5 years, we're able to evaluate it and directly award up to 20 credits of transfer credit. There are other options available once you're a student for work that you've done before then. And I'll be glad to speak with you about some of the ways that your earlier degree work can actually have an impact and can actually be recognized in your studies. We don't want anyone to repeat something they already know, but once you have a background in an area, then you'd be reaching out to deepen or broaden your understanding. So that's where the options for graduate work completed more than 5 years ago. That's where I'll talk with you directly on what you've done and what some of your options are. Now, the other piece I think that some of you have asked about, there was an earlier question about the length of study. Now, our program that we have now was put in place in September of last year, so we're only in the middle of our second term. We have streamlined our doctoral studies so that it makes it possible to complete the program in 3 to 4 years, depending upon you, your competencies, and the rest of your life. And by the rest of your life, I mean your personal life, your professional life. How much time do you have to devote to your studies? Nearly all of our students work full-time. Some work part-time, but some people have highly demanding positions that involve a lot of travel. When I was a doctoral student, I was mid-career also, and I was someone who had to travel cross-country from the East Coast to the West Coast at least once a month, and with a very busy family life. And so it took me longer to complete my degree than it would have had I been able to be located in one area. The same with you. So the question, if you just have a Bachelor of Science degree, it still is going to depend upon you, how the length of studies. And Shannon, rather than go through the rest of the questions, I think that what we need to do is just let everyone know that we really appreciate you coming into our program today, into this session, and would very much like to follow through with you, either very soon, or Sonia, I see you're reaching out the last week in March, early April. If you wanted to contact me by email, we could set up a meeting right now for that period of time. So, and Action Research that's one of our many, many highly respected ways of researching. So yes, I look forward to following through with all of you. Shannon?
Yes, thank you as well. And as I mentioned, I'll send you an email and give you Dorothy's office hours and my direct information if you need to reach out. And it's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed working with you to this point, the applicants that have applied so far. And we really look forward to reviewing your applications and moving you to the next phase of the PhD academic adventure you're going to embark on. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dorothy, very much. And we look forward to connecting with you all via email or phone very soon.
And I see a couple of you have wanted to speak right away. What I suggest this week, if you really want to speak to me early, this week, set up something. If you text me, and you have my text number right there, you can text me, include your name, your question, and a time that I can, your availability. And I'll be able to squeeze in someone who really wants to talk this week. Other than that, join in on one of the office hours next week. Have a good day, everybody, and look forward to it.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Bye-bye.